1:10 this afternoon, the Tour de France was back in the saddle, the race leaving Le Puy-En-Valay, heading into the beauty of the Auvergne south of Clermont-Ferrand. Team Telecom are still online as they lead in 2 competitions. Eric Zabel holds the green jersey as points leader. His advantage over Frédéric Moncassin is now up to 35 points. In the King of the Mountains, Richard Virenque is still unchallenged and holds the polka dot jersey with a comfortable buffer of 81 points over Bjarne Riis. The steeper the climbs, the more points available, so Virenque could be challenged soon in the Pyrenees. Overall, Riis still looks at a 40-second lead, while those behind await an opportunity to close the gap. Miguel Indurain is over 4 minutes behind. And it's now exactly a week since Miguel Indurain lost that time on the climb to Les Arcs, and during that week he's been a very quiet man in the peloton. Well, if he's going to win this Tour, he's got to make his move pretty soon. So last night, Paul Schoen went to his hotel. Paul, who's ridden the Tour de France alongside Miguel Indurain, asked him the questions that we all want to know the answers to.
Bon, Miguel, maintenant, il reste 9 jours pour le Tour de France. Est-ce que vous avez récupéré de la défaillance que vous avez eue la semaine passée?
Sí, yo espero, ¿no? Espero el poder recuperar esa diferencia, sobre todo de la pájara de Les Arcs y la contrarreloj de Val d'Isère, es la máxima diferencia. Confío, sobre todo con el sol, que venga, que haga calor. Es una buena señal para mí, para mi músculo, que una semana bajo el agua, bajo el frío, pues están un poco todavía doloridos.
Est-ce que c'était difficile de finir l'étape? On vous avez vu beaucoup à la peine dans la dernière montée quand vous avez explosé.
No, difícil acabar, ¿no? Era una etapa que iba bien, iba con fuerza. Tenía pensado atacar, porque la Madeleine y el Roselán he pasado bien. Y tenía pensado atacar los últimos 5 kilómetros, pero no sé, problema de frío o problema de comer y beber lo he hecho bien. Entonces ha sido... En 2 kilómetros he sentido las piernas mal, las piernas vacías, no podía más. Justo llegar a meta, no sufrimiento porque no tenía fuerza, pero me costaba mucho y veía que perdía tiempo.
Et le soir, quand vous avez arrivé, est-ce que vous étiez déçu ou vous étiez fâché parce que c'était la cause de le temps ou quelque chose comme ça?
Un poco desilusionado, sí, porque he visto que el Tour pues, está difícil, 5 minutos casi de tiempo, pero tengo que seguir trabajando. Al día siguiente he hecho una buena contrarreloj, he hecho entre los primeros, no para ganar, porque el músculo estaba pues, bastante limpio de energía, pero he estado bien. Al día siguiente en Sestriere también he estado con el grupo de cabeza, entonces visto que no es problema físico, sino que es problema pues, de un momento, del frío o cualquier cosa, ¿no? Entonces espero el poder recuperar.
Et maintenant, c'est Bjarne Riis, le maillot jaune de la Tour de France. Comment vous le voyez? Pour le moment, il est très fort.
Sí, va très fort. También va el equipo Telecom, va muy fuerte. También tiene un sprinter, tiene grandes corredores y tiene un buen equipo. Riis está bien. Ya ha hecho quinto en el Tour, ha hecho tercero el año pasado. Es un corredor que está fuerte, se mueve bien en la crono, en la montaña, tiene experiencia y está con mucha ilusión. Entonces es el máximo rival en este momento.
Mais c'est aussi difficile parce que pour l'équipe Télécom, c'est la première fois qu'ils sont dans la position de défendre le maillot jaune. Est-ce que vous pensez peut-être un jour ils vont craquer?
Espero, sí, espero que pasen problemas. El problema es que están defendiendo muy bien. Son profesionales, no han estado nunca en esa cosa de defender un líder en el Tour de Francia, pero sí igual en otras carreras. Son profesionales, todos los corredores tienen ya una experiencia importante, pero el Tour siempre es diferente, entonces espero que un día paguen ese esfuerzo.
Est-ce que vous avez récupéré toutes les forces que vous avez normalement dans le mois de juillet?
Voy recuperando, todavía el músculo tiene agua, tiene frío, está cada día un poco mejor con este buen tiempo. Espero que conforme vayan pasando días y sobre todo en el Maestro Central haga calor y sentirme bien.
L'autre jour, j'ai parlé avec Pedro Delgado et il m'a dit, moi, je suis sûr que Miguel Indurain il peut encore gagner le Tour de France. Vous êtes de cet avis?
Hombre, está difícil, está complicado, pero tengo ilusión. Estoy bien físicamente, no tengo problemas de catarro, de gripes así, y a seguir trabajando, esperar el momento oportuno para poder atacar al líder.
And Miguel Indurain responding to Paul Sherwin's questions there. Although Paul placed them in French, Miguel answering in Spanish, something he always prefers to do, so he is not misunderstood. Well, perhaps his chance will come on the road today. It's 177 kilometres from Le Puy to Superbesse. The roads are narrow, especially near the end, and there are plenty of twists and turns for the challengers to slip away.
Although the riders will have a sunny start, there will be a build-up of cloud later in the afternoon, and although high temperatures of 30 degrees will be on the flatter parts of the course at the finish, it's likely to be as low as 20 degrees Celsius, and hardly a breath of wind in the air today.
But in the early kilometres today, a flat tyre for the race leader, Bjarne Riis, but it didn't take him long to get back into the swing of things and into the haven of the peloton. In the first hour, though, the race has started very quickly. The fastest so far, 49 kilometres, that's 31 miles under those wheels in just 1 hour of racing. And after a very active start, a breakaway forming at the front containing 14 riders, and among them Chris Boardman. And at 120 kilometres covered, this breakaway has a lead of 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And here now is the arrival of the first man from that breakaway. He's gone clear on his own at Valbelix. It's Jamaluddin Abdou-Japarov. The town here really turning out in style. They say this is one of the most beautiful towns in France. That's what it says when you come into it, and they're certainly giving some justification to that today. But this is a great breakaway by Jamaluddin Abdou-Japarov, Paul. More interesting for us, of course, in the 8 riders chasing, Chris Boardman still there.
Well, that's a good move by Abdou, because he knows that he's going to have great difficulty getting over this climb of St. Anastasie, and he's jumped away as we came through the town of Issoire. Now the group of 14 behind us split up, and we do have this 8 riders which split up at one time into 2 groups of 4, but they've come back together. Boardman and also Jonker there in the yellow jersey, in the pink jersey, the Once squad, both riding well.
But the pressure has gone on behind in quite a way. In fact, Miguel Indurain's Banesto squad are stringing this big peloton out, and despite the fact he punctured more than a couple of kilometres ago, he was very quickly back in the race. His teammate Arietta gave him a wheel. He went straight back to the front of this bunch, and the Banestos are actually hurting the Telecom team because they're losing men off the back.
Well, that's the big problem that I felt that Telecom would have. They've had so much time over the last couple of days riding at the front, and as soon as it goes uphill, they're losing their men. The yellow jersey, the green jersey of Eric Zabel has dropped, and also Christian Henn, the German champion, he's been dropped. So that is, I think, the scenario we'll see for the next few days. Indurain must put the race under pressure.
Here's the leader, Abdou-Japarov.
Well, it's strange to see a sprinter like Abdou going for a long breakaway, but this is exactly how Guido Bontempi was at the end of his career. He didn't have the confidence left in his sprinting ability, so he went out for long, lone breakaways. And Abdou, if there is any indecision in this group of 8 riders behind, may still pull it off, but he's starting to suffer on the climb.
So as we look at the picture here, Ulrich on the front, Indurain waiting now to get his own back on this year's Tour de France, hovering there in second place. On his shoulder, the rider who finished second in the Tour de France last year, Alex Zülle. And now Udo Bolt's forcing his way to the front here alongside Ulrich to try and break up the pattern he can see developing at the front of this group. Richard Virenque, the world champion, Abraham Alana, Rominger is there. We are about to see an explosion in the Tour this year, and this looks like Luc Leblanc, who's going to have a little go now. Virenque will chase him, 2 Frenchmen, they're great rivals. There goes Virenque. Luttenberger picks up the action. Riis has got to come now. The yellow jersey also, so now it's back to Indurain.
Well, Indurain waited there to see what the reaction of Riis was going to be. He went straight away when he saw these 3 climbers going. This is a good move. The pressure on at the front. Luc Leblanc looks over to see if he's made the difference, but everybody has reacted. The attacks must surely come thick and fast now. Virenque and Leblanc seem to be watching each other every time the race goes uphill. At the front of the race, it looks very much as if Salvadelli has caught the man who was at the race led for a long time there, Jamaluddin Abdou-Japarov, but the excitement really here at the back, where the main heads of this year's Tour de France are all together.
And I think, Paul, we've got a group of about 12 left, and that's all, and Dufaux attacks.
Another attack coming from one of the climbers. Indurain looking around all the time. It looks to me as if he's very nervous, waiting for these attacks to go. Rees taking a little bit of a risk on the left-hand side there. It's very dangerous riding close to the spectators, especially on a narrow climb like this, but Dufaux has definitely opened up the gap.
As Leblanc goes again. Leblanc down the outside. This Frenchman never gives up. He makes an attack. Now, of course, Richard Virenque, we suspect, will counter the move.
Well, they've been watching each other very carefully every time the road has tilted towards the sky, and Leblanc really has had fantastic form, and it didn't take him very long to catch Laurent Dufaux, and there is the spotted jersey of Virenque. Straight on his wheel is Bjarne Riis, but Miguel Indurain is not there. But it looks to me as if Bjarne Riis has controlled the situation very well. He's watched for these climbers, and once he realised that Luc Leblanc could get away, he let him go, but Virenque has decided it's his turn now.
And look at the acceleration of Virenque, this little climber from France. He shoots clear of the field again. This is the third time he's tried to rid himself of them. Now he's got the gap and he can race back up to Luc Leblanc. Now here is the leader, Salvadelli. He's got rid of Abdou Jafarov. And Salvadelli, if he won the stage, it would be a great result for him and for the Italians.
Bjarne Riis in complete control at the moment. He moves to the front. As you can see, Indurain lying in about 6th place at the moment. And looking down the group here, Phil, I can't see the shadow of Tony Rominger. It may well be that he has disappeared from this group. As we go over the summit of the climb here with Salvadelli, you know, they based all of their tactics on Tony Rominger, and when I've always felt that Abraham Olano was the strongest rider in that team.
There's the massive crowd here in the Auvergne, welcoming the race for the first time at Superbesse since 1978.
It's quite amazing to see these kind of crowds in the Auvergne in the Massif Central here, as Luc Leblanc and Richard Virenque go over the top of the climb. These really do look like alpine crowds.
And Virenque leading over Luc Leblanc, and then the group behind being led still by Jan Ullrich, and then Peter Luttenberger, and the gap 1 minute 46 to the leader on the course, and that is Salvadelli. So as we watch the first riders from the peloton try to get across to the breakaway, which still contains Chris Boardman, there they are down there. It is a very select chase group what's left of the peloton today, but they're sticking together like limpets. We'll just take a short break.
Today is a double 13, the stage and the date. Not a lucky combination for a lot of riders. Join us after the break and try not to scald yourself making that cup of tea. Stage 13 has claimed quite a few riders on the tour. In 1987, Hendrik de Vos had to be stretchered out of a ravine in the Pyrenees. And in 1970, his fellow Belgian Herman van Springel fractured a cheekbone and was also forced to abandon. But the worst piece of luck was suffered by Wim van Aert, the first rider from Holland to wear the yellow jersey in 1951, and the first to lose it too. The Crying Dutchman crashed over the side of the Col d'Orbis to such a depth that rescuers didn't have enough rope and had to tie together 40 inner tubes to pull him out. Van Aert wasn't seriously hurt, but the inner tubes were so badly damaged, the whole team apparently had to abandon. And the race goes over the Col d'Orbis, although not as literally as Wim van Aert did, hopefully, on Wednesday. Today, though, marks the end of the second week of the tour. A tough 7 days for almost everybody. This was the week that Johan Bruneel went over the edge, Mig went to pieces in the mountains, and the King of the Mountains had to be held together with sticky tape. By the end of it, Indurain was already auditioning for a career after cycling.
Le Tour de France? Oh,
On
Channel 4. Le Tour de France on Channel 4.
Things weren't going much better with the Coke girls, who decided if they were going to have to wear those new bottle-shaped uniforms, they all might as well top themselves. On the subject of strange looks, Michael Bogaert, who'd already come close to cracking the super slow-mo lens in the prologue, revealed himself as a man who'd opted for the flip-top head instead of the Reach toothbrush. And on the subject of big mouths,
that mouth couldn't be much wider. It's as wide as the tunnel of Fréjus where we all came through yesterday.
the following day, camera crews took no chances, staying on the right side of Bjarne for fear of getting sucked in. For days, the riders have been hoping for a change in the weather, if only to put an end to Stephen Roach's promotional appearances for his upcoming role in pantomime. But when it came, it wasn't quite what people had in mind, except perhaps for the devil, the contents of whose mind are anyone's guess. Anyway, despite the snow coming down like a stupid sprinter, thick and fast, Monday produced the best average speed of the tour. Mind you, the fact that the first 140 kilometres were done in team cars slightly took the edge off the achievement. By the end of the week, thankfully, the weather was finally beautiful, and so was the scenery. Sadly, though, not for the devil's wife. In hell, the view never changes. Well, I'm no psychologist, but I can't help feeling that the devil was forced to sleep in the bottom bunk as a child. His wife is just now suffering the consequences. All right, that's enough devil for one tour, I think. Let's go back to the racing with Phil and Paul.
Well, thanks, Gary. And the other devil, by the way, Claudio Chiappucci, has been in the breakaway all day today. We're still trying to pick him up because we're looking here now at the forward men of that original bunch, which is reduced to some 10 riders. News reaching us that Tony Rominger has, in fact, and there he is, middle right on our picture in the blue jersey. He's got back to the group just on the wheel there of Bjarne Riis, the yellow jersey. But Claudio Chiappucci still up the road, as is Chris Boardman, although the gaps between all of the groups are closing all of the time.
Tony Rominger must have taken an awful lot of risks on that descent to get back down there. He knew that he had to recuperate before the next climb, and he's got into that group, as have one or two other riders. I think I caught the sign of Fernandez Hines in there as well, lying in third position at the moment. But it's a pretty complicated race out there. Still in first place, we've got three riders, Sorensen, Rodriguez and Salvadelli, but only 10 seconds behind them a group of two riders, which is Bartoli and Patrick Jonker. A little bit further behind them, Chiappucci, then another 10 seconds, Boardman and Brochard, and then at 1 minute, this group of Luc Leblanc and Richard Virenque trying to catch everybody up at the same time.
Two more small climbs to come. I mean, small in length and not in steepness. They're quite nasty little climbs, and there could be an opportunity to break this race up yet. And so, Richard Virenque and Luc Leblanc catch the second portion of the breakaway. It will just leave in front Salvadello, Sorensen and Bartoli. And Virenque is going to go straight by the look at it. These are the leaders. Sorensen looking very concerned as they've gone over the top, led over by Salvadelli and followed by Bartoli.
A quick change of bottles there. Laurent Brochard passes a bottle over to his teammate Richard Virenque. And then it won't be long, I don't think, before there's another tack comes from this group, because there's not much impetus left in this group of riders. They were at the head of affairs for an awfully long time, and now I think the question is just to survive.
There's the long road ahead, which leads to the final little stepping stone up to the finish at Superbesse, and these are the best crowds of the Tour here today. Well, this is the Bjarne Riis group, and in fact, gone from it, I can't see him again, Paul, is Tony Rominger. He does appear to be dropped again.
He does have a chance of coming back now, because Riis is the only man setting the pace at the front here. He looks over his shoulder, and it could give Tony Rominger just a short chance of getting back into the front group.
Second group on the road here, the Breton flag, the black and white stripes being waved. Richard Virenque, now he's having to do some work himself because Brochard has had enough and dropped right out of it and off the back of that group. And now Luc Leblanc is going. Now can Richard Virenque hang on to his former teammate? Because they're still picking up riders. There's another rider just in front of Leblanc here.
Well, that was a great attack there. Looks like they're picking up Pat Jonker, who was out on the road. He's been dropped now, and he'll be caught very soon by Chris Boardman's group and probably by the yellow jersey group of Bjarne Riis. They pick up another rider there, which looks very much to me as if it's Michele Bartoli, who was at the head of affairs for such a long time. Luc Leblanc is really trying to win on home turf.
Well, this is amazing. I think there are only two riders left up front, Salvadelli and Sorensen. These riders spread all over the mountain today.
Don't forget Miguel Indurain's teammate Rodriguez there, who was part of that three-man leading group. They've only got a couple of kilometers to go. Once they get over the top of this incline here, it really is quite an easy run into the finish. And again, on the slope, Luttenberger decides he's going to have a go.
And Luc Leblanc has gone through on yet another rider there. Well, he'll come back to us very shortly. And there he is, and the rider who's gone past our window there is now Salvadelli. So I think only Sorensen and Rodriguez remain in front here with a couple of kilometers to go to the finish. There they are. And so, you know, it may be Indurain's there, at least with his team.
It may be, but there's a lot of panic coming through there. All of the team cars are pushing by, and in fact, Luc Leblanc has them in his sights.
This is a tremendous ride over these last few kilometers by Leblanc, the man who was lying unconscious on the first day of the Tour after a crash, which has put him rather a long way down the overall. He now lies 12th overall, 7 minutes and 8 seconds behind. He has forced his way back into the picture. Now he catches the last two men of that original breakaway, Sorensen and the teammate of Miguel Indurain, Rodriguez. Now he's got a shot at gold again.
Well, Bjarne Riis there at the front in the yellow jersey, picking up the remnants of Chris Boardman's group there. They're all going by.
And there's Chris Boardman being passed now by the yellow jersey group, but he had a real go today. And Bjarne Riis trying to control Luc Leblanc, because Leblanc looks more serious every day. And now here comes Virenque, and he's caught Leblanc. We now have 4 men up front. Remember, exactly 1 week ago, when Indurain was having terrible trouble at Les Arcs, it was Luc Leblanc, number 111, who won the stage that day. And he could well do it again now.
But it's going to be a tricky finish, though, because Rolf Sorensen, number 88, won't want to get beaten again. He was so close to the victory there a couple of days ago in Gap, just before the rest day, and he will watch these 2 riders and knows now that he's the fastest man in the sprint. But you know, you could be right, Miguel Indurain's teammate Orlando Rodriguez may well surprise them all.
Well, that would be some consolation indeed, as they come onto the flatter roads and onto the kilometre. We're on the plateau now, more or less, at Superbesse. It kicks up a little bit to the line, but it's nothing serious enough to spoil the sprint, perhaps, for people who misjudge it. There's Pat Jonker. He's been put back in the group now. Chris Boardman's the 3rd man up the line. And this is the chase group. Well, Chris has done well to hang on to this group now.
Well, it's a flat ride all the way to the finish line now, as we've got these 4 leaders, and it's a tricky finish amongst all of them, because Luc Leblanc, not the fastest sprinter in the world, but he looks today like a man possessed. He's really ridden strongly. He's attacked so many times, and you can see now, just moving into 3rd position, that probably the ideal position for the sprint is Rolf Sorensen. But watch out for the man at the back, number 8.
Sorensen is going to take no chances. He's worried about Rodriguez, but look at this coming shooting through on the inside is Salvadelli, I think.
Looks very much as if he made an incredible comeback there. I don't know where he came from, but he's taken them all by surprise.
Well, they've switched across the road and grabbed his wheel. This is a lovely wide finishing straight, 400 metres to go. Luc Leblanc sitting at the back. He'll make his dive, I think, at around 250. Because he'll have the advantage of surprise, and there he goes. Luc Leblanc is going to try and take them as the sprint begins now. Leblanc is on the left here. Sorensen this time is trying to make amends. He grits his teeth. Short way around the corner. Rodriguez is after him now. There's a beautiful shot as now the Dane is going to get the stage at last, as Rodriguez, I don't think, has got the strength to come off him. Rodriguez lips his lips as he comes round that very sharp bend now. Richard Virenque digs deep, but this time Rolf Sorensen gets it on the line. Rodriguez is 2nd, Virenque is 3rd, Leblanc is 4th, and that was a deserved result for Rolf Sorensen. Now, we're sprinting here, I think it's for their 6th place. Chris Boardman on the right, the yellow jersey of Bjarne Riis. Boardman brings them around the corner. Chris in with a chance of a good sprint finish at last, but on the right goes Miguel Indurain to prove a point. He gets the place, Boardman just behind him. Then comes Dufault and the rest of the group, including the yellow jersey. Now, this is the group that has lost time. Tony Rominger looking around in that blue cap. He has lost a little bit of time today as he swings into the home straight. He's the big name that has lost time today. Virenque and Leblanc has gained a little bit. Ulrich as well has lost time. And at the back of that group is also Evgeny Berzin. 3 big names concede a few seconds. Well, nobody could deny Rolf Sorensen his win today after his disappointment at Gap. 2nd was Orlando Rodriguez. 3rd, Richard Virenque. And Miguel Indurain came home in 6th place. Chris Boardman finished a great 7th today, and the real losers of time, well, Tony Rominger and Evgeny Berzin, who both conceded 28 seconds to Bjarne Riis. The Danes, there are only 5 of them in the race, are really enjoying this event now. Rolf Sorensen is their latest success. Chris Boardman also had a go for it today. His form, it seems, is on the way up again.
Yeah, I didn't want to leave the tour without trying to do something. Tried today, and we'll try again another day.
And on that showing, I'm sure he will. Well, there were changes at last in the overall classification, as Evgeny Berzin drops to 3rd and Abraham Olano goes up to 2nd. But Bjarne Riis increases the time gaps in his favour. Miguel Indurain tried hard today, but in the end gained absolutely nothing, while Chris Boardman's result helped him a little overall. Bjarne Riis was put under pressure today. Did it worry him? No. Bjarne Riis there, a man of few words, but he is so very confident now, and tomorrow we'll see how he copes. The last chance for you to enter our phone-in competition and pick the winner of tomorrow's stage between Bess and Toul. When you think you've got his name, here's the number to ring, 0891 11 44 00. And remember the prizes: a yellow jersey, one of those lions, and indeed the specs of Evgeny Berzin. Well, if you want my opinion, I'd stay with the Danes. They're riding on form. In fact, are the Danes the best riders in the race? Probably. Till tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Goodbye.